Thank you.
Mhm.
Alaikum salam.
All right. Well, that was beautiful, brothers and sisters. I think we really got a power-packed night tonight, and we are blessed
Yes.
to have another brother come on. We've had him on before, and him and his lovely wife, our sister, and the work that they do is a really powerful work. So we wanted to have the opportunity, and we wanted you to have the opportunity again to hear from someone that you might consider that you might want to get involved with and get involved with the work of raising our people up. So we got Uncle Bobby, Cephas X. Johnson, and his wife, his sister, Beatrice X, and they are the creators of Families United for Justice and the Love Not Blood campaign. Their work is organizing, serving, comforting, and helping to develop those who have lost loved ones to police violence. Uncle Bobby, you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Great.
Honored to have you, man, and I know you're always working. First of all, why don't you begin by giving our audience a little background into the Love Not Blood campaign and Families United for Justice. What is it that you do? What's your purpose? And how do people benefit from what you offer?
Sure. So basically, Love Not Blood Campaign is a nonprofit social justice organization committed to basically ending systemic violence and supporting families that have been impacted by police violence. We also work with community violence impacted families and other forms of injustice. We were formed in 2014 after we gifted the Oscar Grant Foundation to my sister, which we had started in 2010. Because of the murder of my nephew, Oscar Grant. And for the listeners who may be asking the question, because Oscar is like 15 years old, may not have heard of Oscar or have heard of, forgot who he is, but he was killed in Oakland, California on January 1st, 2009 at the Fruitvale BART station. Of course, he was resurrected through the activism that took place after his murder. And because of that, the campaign and the efforts we put in, we were able to get, for the first time in California state history, an officer arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail. And that really birthed the organization, the Oscar Grant organization first. And then as my sister was able to articulate how she wanted to move the organization, because she was in so much pain from the murder that happened to him. And even for the listeners, it was the first time that a police shooting was caught on cell phone by just regular people, the commuters. And those commuters that caught it on cell phone uploaded it to YouTube, Facebook, various social media platforms that was in existence at that time. And people from all over the world were able to witness the egregious act of a police officer and the harm that he perpetrated on a young man.
Uncle Bobby, I want to make sure that your sound is clear.
Okay.
It sounds a little tinny to me. So I don't know if there's anything. Brother BJ, are you getting that same sound, or is it just me?
Yeah. Uncle Bobby, you on a speakerphone or you on the handset?
I was actually, I had it because we had to
sound better now, Uncle Bobby.
So, is it better now?
Yeah, you sound better now.
Oh, okay. I took it off the car phone.
Okay, yes, sir.
Great. And of course, the campaign and the efforts that we put in, we were able to get for the first time an officer arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail. So a lot of work went into that, and for the listeners too, the as we know, Emmett Till was the flashpoint of the civil rights movement, right? Oscar is the flashpoint of the Black Lives Matter movement because Alicia Garza, one of the founders, as well as Patrisse Cullors and Opal Tometi out of New York, those three sisters founded the Black Lives Matter group and organization. And it was from there, Alicia Garza lived a block and a half around the corner from Fruitvale Station where Oscar was murdered at. And when she showed up on the scene, she was echoing then Black Lives Matter. Of course, we know it really took off when mass media put it to the world after Trayvon Martin was murdered. But the essence of Black Lives Matter and the flashpoint of that movement came from the murder of Oscar Grant. You know, so I always want to make sure we understand the history of the movement because before Trayvon was murdered, almost 2,500 young men were killed by the police in that 3-year time period between Oscar and Trayvon. You know, so, but yeah, so in talking about the Love Not Black campaign and the work that we do, it of course centers around the fact that we work with families on a national basis as well as a global basis in creating spaces for them to, you know, have healing, storytelling, you know, we do collective action. We work with these families to uplift them and to give them a voice so that when they are actually able to make it back home from coming to one of our conferences or doing a gathering that we have, a smaller gathering, sometimes we have larger gatherings, we have various workshops. You know, one of the main ones, of course, is, you know, trauma and understanding the effects of trauma and giving them tools so that when they do go back home and they sitting alone, they have the ability to know how to bring themselves out of that zone. And if they can't, you know, they have networked with enough families to have numbers to be able to call someone to help walk them through, you know, maybe just getting out of the bed that morning, you know, or, you know, just getting them past that point where we get stuck. Because this pain, when you lose a loved one, is forever. And us that know or have lost a loved one knows that to smile after such a tragic event is really, really complicated. You know, and so we focus on that. And, you know, and I need to just say this, and then I'll turn it back over to you. Through our Love Not Blood campaign, and we use the word campaign because we have various aspects within the Love Not Blood campaign. And one of them is Families United for Justice, as you was talking about earlier. Through our Families United for Justice campaign is where we have our conferences. We invite families from all around the country to come into a space to network among each other, to process of understanding the trauma that they're going through, and work with them to enable them to continue to do the work that they need to get the justice that they want. You know, we have an advocacy and policy arm where we work with changing the laws. You know, we've changed AB 71, which was the use of force data collection, one of the only ones in the U.S. of states that have actual data on how many officers are killing the people of the state of California. We average in the state of California 175 to 225 every single year.
Wow.
Yeah, and we went to AB 953, the Racial Identification Profiling Act, because we wanted to get the demographics of who's being stopped to better analyze who's actually being killed. From there, we went to SB 1421, the right to know. And the right to know gave us the ability now to be able to go in an officer's personal folder, especially if they was involved in a shooting, whether they killed or didn't, sexual crimes, and falsification of investigative reports. We came back with SB 16. We expanded upon that to include various other areas that have the right to be able to, you know, investigate these officers. You know, of course, 490, the chokehold, we was able to stop that chokehold, especially that knee on the neck, to AB 392, the strictest use of force legislation in the nation. We changed the reasonable standard to the necessary standard. and going on to the SB2, there's many others in between there, but SB2 is the decertification legislation, giving us now the ability to decertify these rogue police officers that kill and then go to another agency in the state of California to do it again, and then leave California and go to New York and kill again. You know, and since SB2 started, which was officially, it passed in 2021, we really began to do the work in 2023. And since we've been doing the work, over 300 officers has been decertified. You know, and so I said, you know, Gavin Newsom, California Governor Gavin Newsom appointed me to that decertification board. So I'm one of the only impacted family members that sits on a board like that at the state level. So I'm at the table having input on these egregious acting officers that think they can continue to get away with it. But today, now they're being decertified. They never ever can be employed again in the state of California. They go into a national decertification index box or data center where the agencies in New York, Texas, what have you, is supposed to. We don't have legislation that require them to, but if they want to do good due diligence, we'll go to that decertification index to verify that new officer that's coming from California to make sure they haven't been decertified. You know, so in many ways, we have been pushing to make some real changes, and in some ways, I can say we have been doing pretty good at it.
You know, Uncle Bobby, you mentioned, how many deaths would you say, again, in California alone, on average, this is from police officers and law enforcement personnel, right?
That is correct, yes.
What's that number again?
175 to 225 every single year.
Every year. How do those numbers in California match up nationally? Are the numbers similar around the country for police departments of a certain size?
California leads the nation in deaths per year by the police, right? And then, of course, there are states that are much smaller. The numbers, of course, going to be much less. Florida has a high count, as well as Texas. But there's no state, and I shouldn't say it like that, because one of the things that we have that has been giving us the visibility to see how many people is killed is AB 71, the use of force data collection that is the Department of Justice of the state of California is responsible for. And every shooting, whether it be a shooting, whether it be a taser, or even their vehicle, or hands-on, you know, baton, what have you, if a person is killed, is journalized and required to be reported. And so that's how we have the information. Most states don't have a data collection of how many people are actually being killed in their state. We even tried to enforce that on a national level, and it's always been pushed back because you have to get every agency involved to report the death, and not every agency is doing that across the country. But the state of California is one of them that does do it.
Okay. And with this, talk to me again a little about decertification. And what that means is, if I am a police officer in the state of California and I kill someone while on the job, do I have to be convicted of a crime to be decertified?
No, you don't have to be convicted of a crime. You can kill someone and won't even say killed. You're on the job and you know, you actually work at a high school as a police officer, and you start engaging in showing high schoolers pornography. You hear what I'm saying? And a reporter reported that you have done that. Of course, there's a complaint filed. The investigation is started. In the investigation, they find out that you were showing high school girls pornography off your cell phone. That's a decertification act, right? And because it's a sexual crime, basically, that's getting ready to be perpetrated. But anyhow, You can be decertified, lose your license for an act that egregious, or you can lose your license for falsifying an investigative report. You can lose your license from being an alcoholic as a police officer and then crashing your cruiser into a regular person's car, and maybe even injuring the person, possibly killing the person. You can be decertified. Definitely, if you are not using de-escalation tactics and you harm someone or kill someone, you can be decertified. So there's 9 main areas of decertification. Bias policing, you can be decertified. Dishonesty, you can be decertified. Of course, there's an investigative process that takes place, and normally it starts in the agency, or we'll just say a complaint is filed. You file a complaint to the agency or to post. The agency that actually gives out the license, then we have a responsibility to investigate that complaint. If that complaint is sustained, that those acts that has been alleged you have actually been involved in, then there's a process to decertify you where you come before the division. They do the investigation, and they concur with the agency. The agency and the division then pass it on to the advisory board. The advisory board is what I sit on. We look at the facts of the incident and then come to an agreement that the decertification should be warranted, and it's pushed to the post, right? And that's the police officer standard and training who actually gives out the certification, but now they can also take away the decertification. See, California was one of the few states that didn't have that. A lot of states have decertification, but it's not tweaked to the standard that we have. So it's never really been a major conversation. But now, and especially the way that we have had it set up, it's been very impactful.
Now, when we're talking about decertification, there's an agency in California. Give me the name of that agency again. You said POST?
POST, P-O-S-T, POST, yes.
Okay, what does that stand for?
The Police Officer Standard and Training. So they are the ones where an officer will go to an academy, be trained, meet all the requirements, and then he comes before POST, and POST certifies that officer to be an officer in the state of California by giving him a license. Once he has that license, he's employed as a police officer. That means that he went through the academy, he met all the procedures and the requirements.
Okay. And you have to have that license in order to be a police officer in Chicago, not Chicago, in order to be a police officer in California. Right.
But now, remember, even in Chicago, you have to have a license too. So it's not just isolated in California. It's every state. Okay. The officer is required to have a license.
Very good. So in every state, you have to be certified, whatever that training and certification group is. I guess it's called different things in different states, right?
Right.
Or can be called. Okay, so once I violate the rules, I beat somebody with a baton pretty badly. A complaint is filed with the local police department, then it moves up, right? And now POST or the certifying agency gives a ruling, and they decide they're going to take my license away, right?
Right. But let me walk you through.
Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. You was going to finish your question.
Yeah. So now my license has been taken away. So I should not be able to get another job, what they call the wandering cop syndrome, where you just move from one agency to another. And we've seen that where problem officers go from one jurisdiction to the other, right? So my license is taken. is put into a database. I don't have a license. I should not be employable. Let's say for this example, in the state of California, even though this same basic process exists at police departments across the country. We're just using California as an example.
Right.
So what are the safeguards to make sure that I'm not employed? So if I worked for Compton Police Department and now I want to work for the Los Angeles Police Department, when I try to get a job, does my decertification showing that I'm ineligible to work as a police officer, does that automatically come up somehow? Or how would LAPD? Oh, very good. Take it from there.
Okay, so once an officer is decertified in the state of California, we have a decertification database. So every agency in the state of California is required to comb that database. If you are decertified in Compton and decide to come to Oakland and be employed, the police captain or chief of that particular agency or the hiring segment of human resource will go to that database and see if your license is valid. In that database, your license is not valid, you can't be employed. Now, you also go into the National Decertification Index database. So now I know I can't get a job in California, so I decided to move to New York and figure maybe I can get myself employed. And I go to an agency and I tell them I, worked for the police department the last 22 years and blah, blah, blah. And they ask me if my license is good, and I say yes. And in reality, it's not. If that agency does not comb the National Decertification Index database, they'll never know, and they'll hire me, right? But if they're really doing, what we expect them to do, and that is to comb the national database, they will see that he's been decertified, or see that I was decertified, and they won't hire me. Now, we don't have legislation on a national basis to make sure that every agency in the United States always comb the national database to make sure this officer is not coming from Florida and been decertified and now trying to get a job in California. California is more apt to search the national database and the state database because we have the requirements that enforce the agencies to do it, but not every state is in agreement with that. I shouldn't say in agreement, but doesn't have the policies and the legislation in place to make sure that every agency does that.
Very good. Okay. But this is a tool that is there. And I'm thinking this is a tool that could be strengthened either by federal legislation or by in each individual state, people doing like what you all did in California.
Right.
Might get it down
and I
for your
definitely
state.
agree. Right. Now, we got one major complication now on the federal level. Right? So that orange man, that character, right, on the federal level will push back on anything we already know that has anything with putting handcuffs on police officers. Exactly. So now what we have to do is turn back to our local areas, our local states, and concentrate on how to strengthen these accountability legislations and transparency legislation within our state, because on a national level, it's not going to fly.
Yeah. It's interesting, Uncle Bobby. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, so the wife has made it down because, it's our grandbaby's fourth birthday, and so we're celebrating his birthday. She was still up there hugging on him. And
okay.
But she's here now.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Beatrice. How you doing?
How are you? I'm doing fine, but all
good.
Great. He is not telling the truth during Ramadan. We was up there having a water fight.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. There you go.
So, yeah.
There you go. Well,
I feel blessed, and no matter what's going on, I feel blessed, and really try to make sure that I am depositing into my grandchildren 20, 40 years from now. That's what we do. We pour into them. We pour into them everything that we know, especially Islam. So we pour into that it gets in there in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, 40, because I plan to live to about 120. But anyway, them years from now, at least that, you know how it was when we was growing up. We wasn't really listening, even though they kind of listened to us, right? But I'm just saying, we weren't really listening when they was, but we used every bit of everything Big Mama and Grandmama and Mama told us. We used, in this lifetime, we have used every bit of it. At some point, a light came on. You was like, "Dang, Big Mama said that. Ooh, she was so right." And you start doing that. So, you know, no matter what's going on, these kind of days right here just makes me be like the 5 heartbeat. I feel like
well, you know, those things are. Those things are really important with the difficulty of the work that we're involved in. So, sister, did the Love Not Blood campaign? Did you all was last year your 10th anniversary?
Last year was our 10th anniversary, September 2024, and we started. Our first one was September 2010. 14. Yes. That was our first one. But really, I only say that because really, technically, without it being so technical, really we started in 2011. And because many may not know, but if you technically want to say after Minister Farrakhan, because he did start the Mothers of the Movement like in the 80s when he was talking to the mothers and telling them what to do. You know, when he was telling them when they was losing their sons, and he was already telling mothers what to do. And then in 2010, Uncle Bobby had a 1,000 Mothers March that people don't even know in Oakland because he wanted to bring all the mothers together. And so, and then that's how we really started, and then we started getting families. But we have to, I'm the one who said, we got to add these families because it takes somebody's got to be real special to deal with these mothers. Somebody who deal with these mothers, to me, in my opinion, that's a job for Minister Farrakhan. I like his wisdom, his knowledge, because you can't, you know, to lose a child and the mother to carry it, you know what I'm saying? It's real heavy, especially if they're going to continue to live in this life. Because it's a major task to even get out of bed, to put your foot on the floor. I've seen it with my sister-in-law, Wanda Johnson, during the trial of her son. It's major. Yeah, so it's been 10 years, and I was just thinking today, what does it look like for, you know, will it even be a reality? We pray, but, you know, with what's going on and what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, I was thinking today when I was in the store, I was like, now we have to start doing something different with these families. Like I was thinking, maybe we should start doing a survival series. Like, you know, I seen this thing where they had this box of seeds, all kind of different foods in it. It was like $54. I was like, maybe we should gift them that and then start, you know, teaching them how to survive. And then in each city have the MGT come and teach them how to make bean soup and stuff. We got to change because it's changing. We're in a different kind of survivor mode. I was just thinking about that today when I was at the store because we've been doing this for 10 years. We've been, you know, right now in our attempt to heal, but we got to heal and teach them to survive right now. So I'm really nursing on the minister and him telling us what we need to be doing and how we need to be doing. We're going to have to evolve as an organization and to our families to teach them survival in this time, the time where it must be done. And
Yeah,
it's
'cause
something that
we're
after this 10th year, you know, this is all, and Allah is saying, you know, you got to do something different. These families, it's going to be a different time. We're in a different time.
Yeah.
And every day is getting more. Every day is coming closer. Honorable Elijah Muhammad words are walking off the pages. And every day, you just, like me, I was like, wake up and is we going to, like, be in it? Most people don't understand and they think that it's going to be like this in 6 months, business as usual. It's not.
Yeah.
How do we get our people to penetrate them to understand that and listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and listen to Minister Farrakhan right now on every level, whatever in the movement, everywhere, every day.
Yeah, because we're looking at, and what we're talking about now, brothers and sisters, is we're looking at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan teaching about the fall and the final destruction of America. And when you look at what's happening, you can already see the deterioration, the erosion of society. You can see the fall of America before your eyes. You can see the unraveling of a great nation, as the minister talked about, before your eyes. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, and the minister has repeated that warning and expanded it to where, how do we survive that final onslaught, and we don't know when it comes? Remember, the Bible says it predicts a kind of great and dreadful day. And it says that if not for the intervention of God himself and for the elect's sake, that basically humanity would be destroyed. So what am I saying? I'm saying if you just looking at all the natural disasters, just had a major one out in California with the fires. You've had floods, you've had rain, you've had snow, you've had all of these things. So there comes a time when that warning from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to have food and other necessities stored up in your houses. We're talking about disaster preparedness, if you want to put it right in the language that people use, where we are able to survive in emergencies, and we've seen it over and over again. So that's important. I want to say, Sister Beatrice, because you mentioned something that I think is really key, which is the struggle of mothers to carry on after the loss of a loved one. And there's also the struggle of fathers. Because one of the most incredible things that I have ever participated in was some years ago when I was blessed to come to Oakland at you all's invite, and I got to see the father of Mike Brown. I got to see the father of Trayvon Martin. I got to see the father of Von Derek Myers Jr. I got to see the fathers who lost sons. And they talked about how very often the fathers, they don't want the father shown because there's more sympathy for a grieving mother than there is for an angry father whose nature is to protect and preserve and defend the life of his children. So to see these men have the opportunity to express themselves to one another, and to see the mothers trying to carry on. What are some of the things that you've done and continue to do to help these families carry on? And then a lot of it, I think a very substantial part of it is giving them a day or two or a weekend where they can try to have some semblance of normality.
Yes, and I want to say the one thing that we do, and I definitely got this from our teachings, is that we don't have any big eyes or little U's. Last year we had Sandra Massey's father there, and that story was, everyone know, was really big. But when he came, he was like, we don't have big eyes and little U's. Everybody's loved one is important. If you come into Families United for Justice and you've been on the news all year, high profile, when you come to Families United for Justice, everybody is high profile, period. But that's one thing we do not do. We don't pull families out. We don't do that, because when they come together and they feel that, they know that we're not going to say, oh, there is someone, we're not going to do what's done to them all the time, because families feel like it, and they feel like that it should be their child every time. Every time is, and then we tell them, Allah chose that child, that womb to be out like that. So you have to take it up with him. You can't get mad at the other mother or society when they do that. There's a reason why he chose it like that. But all you have to do is keep fighting and keep going, and Allah is going to be with you too. So we don't have no big eyes and little U's. That's the first thing that I want to say that we do not do. And those families feel everybody is important. Everybody's loved one is important. And the fathers feel important, and the sisters and the aunties, whatever family members are coming. That's why it's Families United for Justice, because this don't just impact the mother and the father. It impacts them heavily. But what about the siblings? Or what about the aunties? What about the uncles? What about the grandparents? It's a domino effect when state sponsored killings happen in the family. And some of these families, the perpetrator is still riding around in their community. Can you imagine that? Still riding it, done killed your loved one, done lied, done did all this, but they still riding around in your community. And you ain't took them out because maybe you got families you got to consider. You know what I'm saying? It's so cruel. It is such a cruel reality. People have to understand it's such a cruel reality for these families. Most of these families, we have a database over 1,000. Most of these families do not get accountability. Living with that. No accountability. Uncle Bobby want to say something.
Yes, and if I can add too, in I believe it was 2014 when we talk about fathers and how impressed you were when you came to the event that we did with fathers. But in 2014, we had went to Ferguson to support Mike Brown, being a father. And it was Tracy Martin, it was myself, and it was Ron Davis. And we were there strictly to embrace that brother, to hold him up, and to try to walk with him through the process of this grieving that he was, going through, and, and just kind of giving him some lay of the ground. But anyhow, CNN, just to give an example, and this is what really caused me to focus in a lot on the fathers and doing different things by getting them on a platform. But CNN wanted to do the fathers. And then that night they called us and said the script has been changed, and they did the mothers.
Talk about that picture.
Your picture.
You guys came off the...
Oh, yeah, the wife said talk about... So what happened when we came off the VIP bus, it was the three of us, everybody was taking pictures. It was a real big thing, and I think wanted to see... The wife knows because she was there, and then let me finish telling the story.
I just wanted to say this part. This is why the narrative changed that evening from Uncle Bobby, Mike, Ron, and them speaking on CNN. It was set up for the fathers to speak. That happened that morning. That day, when they had made an agreement on the VIP bus, nobody's going to talk to the media. We hear from Mike, and see, Mike had to come in from the back way because there was so many people and so much media. So They had to go out the bus and then walk behind the VIP and walk about a half a mile up to the road where he was at, and then walk him back to the VIP bus. And so when Uncle Bobby, Ron, and Tracy, and I have that picture, I snapped that picture, when they came off that bus, the media went crazy. It was so powerful. It was so Allah was doing something in that moment, just showing the power of the black man and the unity of the brotherhood. And when they stepped off of there, the cameras were, and this Allah's my witness. So when the picture was over, they sent this little CBS, the national CBS, sent this little young brother over to me because they saw me got off the bus. I got off the bus first because I wanted to videotape and take pictures. So I got off before they got off. And so he saw me come off the bus first.
Speak up a little, Sister Beatrice. We're losing you. Speak up. We're losing you on the audio.
Can you hear me now? Okay, all right.
A little loud.
What happened? Okay, so when he saw me come out, so when that dynamic moment happened and that picture happened, it was like so much media. All you could see is flashes. So so CBS, they sent this little young brother to me and said, "Oh, I'm from CBS. My boss want to know if this is how they don't care. This is how they think it's." I don't know what makes a devil mindset be like that. But he asked me, he said, my boss want to know if they can go back up and come back down because they missed that shot.
Wow.
That actually happened.
Wow.
And I told that little girl, I said, are you kidding me? I said, you go back and tell your boss this is real life. This is real life. This ain't no game and this ain't no joke.
That's right. Right.
That's what I told him to go back and tell his boss. But because of that moment, and it's why they decided to get Sabrina, Leslie, and Miss Carr, and do that special that evening. But that early that morning and all day before that happened, it was going to be the brothers.
You know, and
we got Uncle Bobby.
Yeah, I wanted you to see that back. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm going to let you know we got somebody want to talk to y'all real quick before we run out of time.
Wait. Let's let Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby, why don't you take 2 minutes to make your point, then we'll bring the call on. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, from that moment, then I knew that I needed to at least try to have a platform for fathers, uncles, brothers, or what have you, have an opportunity to share their pain and their love and their struggle. And so we began to do events centered around having fathers panels all around universities and events and things that was going on in this country. And so that was one of the ways that we was giving the fathers an opportunity to have that platform to share. You know, that was kind of one of my main focuses. But we do the entire family, but that was pretty important, and it still is important. And I'll say this really quick, and then we'll listen to the caller, but we just got back from Minnesota University, not Minnesota, I'm sorry, Michigan University, University of Michigan, who have an African program there, and actually it was predominantly African brothers. It was a few sisters there, too. And we had a chance to share the struggle of Oscar with this whole new group of folks that never even heard of Oscar. And the reception was just so well, and just hearing these brothers speak about their own struggle in their own country, because they was from Uganda, South Africa, Tanzania, you name it. They was from all over the place. It happened to be at the event that we did. But, I'll pin it there because I think it was a caller that wanted to ask a question.
Yes, sir. We got Brother Mike B on. You're on Straight Words. Go right ahead, brother. You got about 60 seconds to make your comment. Go ahead, Brother Mike B.
Okay, brothers. Man, this show is needed in so many other states because there are a lot of people that need to hear this conversation, both black and white. And let's not forget Brother George Floyd. And it just seems like what I have observed is that the legal system is just broke. It's just broke down and tore down when it comes to us. It's like they gun us down. Because I remember Mike Brown getting shot down at Ferguson, because I had family that was living at Ferguson at the time. And it was practically in my daughter's backyard. I mean, she was just not even a whole block away from where that initial shooting took place, and the reaction directly following the shooting. And I started worrying about, her family and other people. But I was even watching the shootings even before Mike Brown. I mean, going all the way back to Trayvon Martin and, Tamir Rice and all. We unless we can enforce the law, which doesn't seem to be effective against people that don't look like us. They'll lock us up and throw away the key in a minute, but you can put a doggone rapist in the White House. And so what are our kids to think? And as a father, the way I'm watching them throw these young boys, and this needs to be a story right here that maybe some social scientists or some psychiatrists can speak to, and I'm just about done here. As an educator, I've watched them throw these young boys out of high school while they're 15, 16 years old. They don't get any due process. Now, mom's at work. They're out there all by themselves. Next thing you know, they get in trouble. They end up going to jail. And then they come out, they have no kind of education, no kind of skills, and they have a criminal record. And so we really need to get that George Floyd bill passed, and we really need to start looking at the trend to just send black boys off, get rid of them one way or the other, either just shoot them down in the street. And I think that it's going to get a lot worse now.
Mike. You're right.
Yeah. Thank you. God bless.
Yes, sir. Yep. All right. Thank you, Brother Mike.
Yeah, if I can, I'll respond to that. It is going to get worse. If you think about it, we heard about Atlanta and Cop City. They already have over 90 cop cities throughout the country. And then we got this character in office who is pro-police. And, matter of fact, he is definitely making sure that they have their license to kill, so to speak, because all the accountability legislation we're putting in place on the national level is being pushed out and pushed down. The George Floyd Act cannot pass, sadly, while Trump is in office, because on the federal level, he is going to make sure that he keeps them with the power that he wants to be able to utilize them throughout the country to criminalize as many of us as he can. And so it will be, sadly, this launch of criminal justice attacks on people of color specifically.
But I also want to say that, because we don't want to leave it, I don't want to leave it like that, because I know that it will get worse, but they're not going to win.
Right.
And that is what we tell our families. They're not going to win. I go as far as to talk about the mother plane with some of them. They don't know where it is yet. But I talk about it because that's what we have to give our people hope in the coming of Master Farad Muhammad.
Right.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right, sir.
That's the hope for our people right there, and we got to start talking about it. It may be over their head right now, but we got to talk like that. Like, there's a mother plane. Who you think on there? I talk like that, and it makes them think a little bit, right? Because that's the hope for our people. That's all we have. So
that's right.
It's knowing that, that's how we can start coming together. Yes, there you go. Sorry.
This Beatrice and Bronco Bob, we got to wrap things up. We're at the top of the hour. Y'all know y'all always drop it when y'all come on the radio.
Right.
we need overtime with y'all. Well, praise be to God. Tell us how
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, how can we get in contact with you? Everybody wants to get in contact with you. How can they contact you after the show?
Right. So definitely go to the website, and then on the website we got a portal there where you can actually send us a message, and that is www.lovenotbloodcampaign. LoveNotBloodCampaign.com. That's LoveNotBloodCampaign.com.
And there's a number there as well. If you just want to reach out, you can reach out. We're always accessible.
I'm going to give the number. The number is 510-480-8187. Definitely reach out. You know, we do work all across the country. We're constantly receiving calls, but we do what we can to help.
And we love and thank you, Straight Word. Yes, Straight Word.
Yeah, we love y'all too.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. May Allah continue to bless you.
Yes, ma'am.
May Allah bless you too. All right, brothers and sisters, we got to wrap it up, but we're going to be back next Tuesday, be it the will of Almighty God, Allah. And you can go to our website, straightwords.com, to find out how you can support us. Hit Brother Naba'a up before you go to bed. Stay on the text line with him all night, 312-480-9775, 312-480-9775. We need your support to keep our program rolling in 2025. Brothers and sisters, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. You go be one. When you wake up, go out and show your brothers and sisters love. Smile at them, even though they don't smile back. Because Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, every time I look at the black man, I'm looking at God. I'm smiling at God on the city streets of Chicago everywhere we go. I love y'all, brothers. Brother Naba'a,
yes,
James G. Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem. Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.